Good evening. Welcome to our Toastbusters club. I'm the president of this club, Irina Zavorova. And firstly, I would like to ask you to switch off all sounds on your mobile phones in order not to distract our speakers and guests today, because they are always worried coming on the stage. So our mobile phone will can make us to be more nervous. We are here in order to publish our public speaking and leadership skills. We are a part of a big Toastmasters family all over the world. There are more than 16,600 clubs in every big city and in Europe and USA. You can find any club and visit it for free. And more about this system we will know today in one of our speech today. Also, I would like to invite now on the stage all our newcomers who is first time here today. Please welcome. That's all, and you can introduce yourself, no matter you're not newcomer. So I will ask you several questions in order to know you a little bit better. Who are you? What is your name? What is your occupation? And why are you here? And what are your expectations from the Toastbusters Club? Please.
My name is Tanya. I'm an executive assistant and part-time teacher. What were other questions?
Your expectations, why are you here?
What they're searching for. Yeah.
I want to see how it works. I'm curious. My expectation is to have fun, to enjoy this evening.
Definitely will have fun, I promise you. Thank you. You?
My name is Igor. I'm here for the first time. I was at the other Toastmasters Club one time. And here is my second time with Toastmasters. I came with a friend, Zhenya is my friend, and he likes your club very much. So frankly, I didn't get proper impression from coming for one time. So I decided to try a second time to see how it goes and if it can help me somehow or not. My background is finance. I started to work as an auditor with one of the big multinational companies, and since then worked as a finance manager in various international and Russian companies.
Nice to meet you, Igor. I hope we will visit our clubs in third and fourth time and more and more. And you, please.
Hello, my name is Vladimir. In July, 21st of July 1994, I came for the first time to the Toastmasters Club meeting, and since then I from time to time visited what I'm searching, what are my expectations. I came just to support my loveliest friend, Alla Aganova, in her project.
And you have prepared a little surprise for us.
It was not an easy job to recall the song I have composed 22 years ago.
Thank you very much. Take your seats, please, and let's start our meeting. Every evening we discuss different subjects, different themes, and today's meeting is dedicated to our careers, why people change their jobs. And our Toastmasters of the evening, Alina Loginova, will present all our speakers and will discuss with us this subject in details. Please welcome.
Dear guest, hello, and dear Toastmasters. I'm really happy to be here behind of you. And today I want to discuss with us this topic. Why people change their jobs in general. I know that sometimes all of us did it. Maybe once, maybe more time, but you thought about it. And maybe you can tell me your thoughts. Why people change their jobs? Tell me, Evgenia, for example.
Because they stop growing at their current positions.
Good idea, yes. Maybe something else. Yeah.
Because they tired.
Just retired, yes. It's
Tired.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I know.
Because they hate their job.
Hate their job.
Yes.
Hate boss or team or think that you should do.
They have the process.
Uh-huh.
Salary.
Salary? Wow. It's important reasons, I think, for everyone. So, I didn't take this. I can show you some statistics. This is Europe, and you can see salary is not the best popular reasons. Best popular is lack of opportunities to use skills and abilities. And on the second place, bad management. And as I saw in this article, it was about managing team, that everything should do your manager sometimes, and many more times than you want, you should do it by yourself. You should do it yourself. Yeah. And the third place is toxic workplace, company culture. And you can see Europe. And why do you think it's the same situation in Russia?
No.
No? Why do you think no?
Russia is different country.
Different country, yeah, absolutely. But why do you think we have? Okay, let's answer. Why do you think? Why? What's the most important reason you think in Russia?
Bad management.
Bad management.
Yeah.
You can don't see this.
But it's true.
Slide. You can think about something else, maybe. I don't know. Weather.
I think in Russia another situation, because we have another average income.
Average
You know,
income,
if
yes.
you,
And you speak
if
about
we
money
go-
again?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we like compare income in Russia and in Europe, average.
Yeah.
It will be very different. So.
And what do you think?
Yeah.
Yes, this is Headhunter. They did it this year, the last year, and it was 350 respondents in this test, and they said, yes, salary level is the most important reason that why people change their job. But you can see it's not only a salary level, and I asked all of us, all members of today's meeting, and they said different reasons for them, and it was interesting, but because for me, I thought that in Russia and for Russian people, yes, I agree with you that this is most often salary level, yeah. But in real life, not, and we have different reasons, and we will see it with our team, and I want to invite one of today evening team is, who is the first? The timer of the meeting, Galina Voronчихina.
Oh.
Yeah. And before you start to share with us rules of your role, I asked her about this topic, and Galina said, for the reason to change job will be salary connected with experience and skills, what she can get from new employer. Future vision is the most important. So, welcome our timer.
Hello, my name is Galina. I'm your timer for today. For newcomer, the timer's responsibility is monitoring the time for each meeting and speaker. So I will show the green light when the speaker has reached his minimum time limit. I will show the yellow light when the speaker is 30 seconds from his or her allotted time. And I will show the red light when the speaker has exceeded his or her time limit and he's not welcome anymore on this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next one I want to ask to the stage is our accountant, Evgeny Bykov. Welcome. And before I start, I also asked him about this topic, and he said 3 reasons. If he fed up with his current job, bright career prospects, and the last one, he needed a different working environment where both his self-esteem and self-actualization would be in a better position.
Exactly.
So, welcome.
Thank you. So guys, good evening everyone. It's great to meet all of you again. Let me explain briefly what I'm going to be responsible for tonight. So my role is a counter, and I think all of you would admit that most of us tend to use quite often unnecessary words. What words these are? I think most common ones are so, well, and probably less common actually, basically, like, what else? Did I miss anything? So when it happens when we get nervous, it happens when we have nothing to say and we need some spare time to come up with what we are going to say. If over our speeches, if we use it once or twice, these kind of words, it's not a big deal in my opinion. But when we use them a few times, that's where I'm supposed to step in and to note down those repetitive words and include them in my report that I'm going to announce to you at the end of our meeting tonight. So tonight, at the end of our meeting, I will tell you who are the leaders in terms of overusing of those unnecessary words. So please try your best to avoid use them, and good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. And next one who I would like to ask and came to the stage is our amazing, blonde and smart grammarian and word master, Anna Ilyina.
Shall I introduce my role? Okay, I'm
No?
No?
I forget about. Yes, I asked you this topic, and what do you think she said? She wanted that her job would have value for others and give her satisfaction. Meaning is more important for, not for money. She wanted to find a career or a calling, not a job.
Calling.
Calling.
Okay, so I'm the grammarian today and gonna keep track of the bad and good usage of English. And also I introduced the word of the day, a word that I encourage you to use as often as possible, and it's the word ambitions. You know, it used to have a negative connotation in the, I think, in the English-speaking countries and especially in Russian. I think ambitions was a bad word. But I think it's a very beautiful and very useful word because it means that a person has a strong desire to achieve something, to achieve some higher values, success and growth. So I hope you are all going to be ambitious today to speak perfect English.
Thank you.
And we'll choose the winner of the day who will use this word most of
So I would like the next one, so you can come. And I would like to ask to the stage one ambitious man, first speaker of today's meeting, our Toastbuster Members Club, Francisco Miranda. Welcome to the stage. And before you start to make the speech, he told me a lot about his career and Russian visa, so he didn't need to change his job at all right now. But we speak about our topics, so if he had, he would change to get a new professional challenge, maybe in a new culture to make it more fun. So please welcome Francisco Miranda with his speech, Pathways to Toastmasters.
Thank you. Well, this is the death road. This is in Bolivia, going to Amazonas. This is kind of like we, as Toastmasters, before giving a speech. Like we see, like it's so, we had to sign up, we had to write it, it's a little bit painful. So the speech of today is Pathways to Toastmasters. It was in 2003, and the British cycle team was one of the worst performing cycle teams in the history of the Olympics. In almost 100 years, they had won just 3 medals. As you Russians know, the UK is one of the best, it's the 3rd best team in the world in terms of Olympics. But in cycling, they suck. And this is the medal table of almost a century before this happened. So even Soviet Union, with 9 months of winter, they are better at cycling. If we add Russia, they will have 13. The UK is not in the leading peloton of cycling. If we see Tour de France, in 100 years, the UK had won 0 medals. Vuelta a España, 0. Giro d'Italia, 0. Russia, 2. So, actually, the UK team was so mediocre that a top manufacturer of bikes refused to sell bikes to the UK team because they didn't want to be associated with such a bad performance. Imagine that. It's like anti-sponsorship. It's like paying the UK, please do not use our bikes. And suddenly something changed. It was in 2003 that the British Cycling Association hired Dave Brassfold as the new performance director. He was obsessed. He had the theory of the aggregation of marginal gains, which means that if we improve 1% in everything we do in a topic, the outcomes can be exponential. And he started redesigning everything. So he took a bike and he redesigned the bike seat. He went to a wind tunnel and then he started testing different fabrics to see which one was lighter and more aerodynamic. He went even further, so he started testing more than 100 gels to see which one provided the fastest recovery. He called doctors to teach the riders how to wash their hands so they will get less sick. He changed the mattress and the pillows of those cyclists. It was crazy. 5 years later, the UK dominated the Olympics. And since then, they have dominated almost every competition, every major competition. And they have won 6 of the latest 9 Tour de France. how does this relate to Toastmasters? As you know, or at least in my case, we come here because we see that there is room for improvement. We think that we can be better. And I would like to give a specific example. I would like to present you a friend. This is Jorge, 2010. He had a lot of potential, like the British cycling team. He had a lot of ambitions. His dream was to be a professional coach, a professional speaker. And I saw him and I invited him to Toastmasters. And as most of us, when we come, we are a little bit nervous. We are probably not at our full potential. But he strongly believed in this theory, the theory of the marginal gains, that if we improve 1% in everything we do, we can be better. So he gave his icebreaker. He gave his second speech. He was more organized. His third speech, get to the point, he conveyed the message. And then after 6 months, he won the prize for the Rookie of the Year as the best newcomer to Toastmasters. He wanted more, so he improved body language, voice, English. Then 2013, he won Best Prepared Speaker of Chile. He wanted more. Toastmasters is about leadership, so he wanted to practice it. So he was elected president of Santiago Toastmasters. He was obsessive. He wanted more. He went to Cambridge to study coaching, and then he was selected by Queen Elizabeth II as a young leader to teach young leaders, also from the Commonwealth, how to be better. 1 year later, the White House selected him as a young leader of the Americas. And here it is with President Obama. And then in 2016, he became one of the best speakers in Chile, and he created his own company. Today he employs 7 people. He travels all around Latin America. He has been in the UK, Europe, US, teaching coaching and public speaking 3 years ago. Today, we are in Toastmasters. Unfortunately for us, the pathway is much simpler than the one at the beginning. Everything is so easy for us, and it's up to us to decide how far we want to go and at which tempo we want to ride. Please take me.
And the next one speaker for today. No?
Evaluation.
Почему сейчас? No?
Yes.
Okay, we think yes.
So I would like to invite our ambitious Paula Aganova. Welcome to the stage, please. And before you start to speak, please tell us. Maybe you should just imagine if you can be in this situation. What would be the reason if you want to find a new job?
You see, let me change a little bit what you want from me. I would like to say that one moment came in my life when somehow I would like to have something new in my social environment. That's why I decided to join the Toastmasters Club. It was very long ago. Volodya said about 1994. My year was 1998.
Oh.
So,
You start.
all of you have come today to the Toastmasters meeting, but I have a question. Are you sure that you know a lot about Toastmasters International? That's why a few questions to you. Question number 1. When and where was the Toastmasters International founded?
In California.
Or Such a knowledgeable person. Okay, thank you so much. But some details, if you don't mind. So, our organization, Toastmasters International, was founded from Club Smedley number 1 in 1922, and it was registered in the year 1932 in the state of California. How many clubs exist at present in the world? Today it has been mentioned already. Irina said beforehand. So, all in all, in the world at present, there are 16,600 clubs in 143 countries all over the world, including almost all countries and, of course, our native country, Russia. And if you go abroad in almost any country of the world, and if you try to get in touch with some Toastmaster club in some country, you will be welcomed there as a close relative. Believe me, it was just the case with me when I was in Seattle, northwest of the United States in 2010. I was welcomed there really as a close relative. I was given the floor. They poured a lot of questions to me, so everything was wonderful. Now, the next question of mine. When was the first Russian Toastmaster Club founded?
1989.
89, yeah.
Look, such an educated person we have. So thank you so much. It was really so in 1989. It was founded in Moscow, but by whom? So it was founded by Robert Merson, an American. He was a one of the Moscow news editors at that time, and he founded the first club in Moscow and in Russia. He was passionately committed to the cause of Toastmasters, and later, in 2009, he wrote in his letter sent to Moscow Free Speakers Club, "I was not even a CTM. I was a nobody, but I have a Christian faith. I have a heart, and I wanted to promote peace in the world." And really, the first Toastmaster Club was among the very few public and social organizations of that time that united Russian people and foreigners. And the club did a lot to promote this spirit of freedom that blossomed in the country at the time of the surge of perestroika. So, club was developing, and now let me give the floor for a few seconds to one of the oldest members of the club, Natalia Shersneva. And Natalia, we have a very small, very simple question. What was the club for you in the 90s and further?
Yes, thank you very much. You gave me a chance to communicate here, to speak some words about my club of those time, of those 19 years, 19 years when I visited my club, speakers, free speakers, our club was named. Yes, I reminded our meetings, because we had meet on Thursdays, and nobody can prevent me or stop visiting our club, my club, those time. Yes, and yes, I remember shining eyes and beautiful smiling of our members. It was very nice time, and I've never forget this quite lot piece part of my life being in that club. So thank you so much for the attention and
Thank
our
you so
reward.
much. Thank you so much. So the times are flying. New clubs came into existence, and our Toastbusters Club was the second English club that emerged in Moscow. But the traditions didn't die. The traditions of the place that was a wonderful place of communication, the place of meeting new friends, the place of even composing some couples. We had such cases when married people married amidst the members. So the traditions didn't die. Only in the new epoch, more attention was paid to the development of leadership skills. And this was highly appreciated by many companies, who sometimes even gave just 2 minutes.
I'm sorry. I feel myself like a crime.
Yes,
but
okay,
I'm
okay,
sorry.
okay. So, and some companies even gave additional promotion to the Toastmasters. Maybe you remember such a wonderful, outstanding Toastmaster as Mark Seelin, who is now working for Google in London, and he started his career as a Toastmaster. And finally, what I would like to say, that there was a hymn of Toastmasters Club here in Moscow. That's why we shall give strong applauses, just a minute, strong applauses to Advanced Communication Silver Vladimir Chilkov, who composed this hymn. It was very long ago, in 1997. And I finish with the conclusion that answer to my question, what is Toastmasters? It is the place of amazing communication, the place of meeting new friends, and the place where leaders are made. Thank you. So strong applause for Vladimir Chilkov. It is an additional time.
I don't know why speakers do not use the word ambitions in their speeches. I'm not a pathetic person, by no means, but it seems to me I managed to solve this problem. You will see this in the text of my song. I wouldn't say my life was pitiful or boring. I love my mother's job. I share with friends of mine. But now I can't deny that in my plain life story I found the most exciting and essential line. There is something that brings us together. I don't know what it really might be. I'm just happy and just wondering whether I would ever be as happy as him. how different we are. We are paving different ways to go through, both favors and disgrace, prepared for our lives. But when we are a club, we feel ourselves a strong crew. Just listen to these hearts, look in these friendly eyes. There is something in this atmosphere, lovely sense one could never define. Something tuneful, something tender and clear, that will always be a passion of mine. The world is turning on, and everything's changing, except those silent stars deep in that soundless sky. My heart, my lavish fate, let me live pretending that our blessed unity will never die. There is something that brings us together. Should I care what it really might be? I'm just happy and just wondering whether I would ever be as happy as he.
And every meeting of the club was finished with speaking in the mouth.
Thank you very much. And now 1 minute for voting. And I give you a thing. So the next one is our winner of winter conference. This is Ivan Chernagatic. Please welcome Ivan. And before you start your speech, I can say about your answer about this topic, and you said that you are self-employed and you wouldn't trade it for anything. Working for a company is one of your biggest nightmares, and if an opportunity to make more money comes around, that you would have a big influence on this decision. So please welcome Ivan Chernagatic with his speech from Moscow to Amsterdam, a hero's journey.
So, I don't know who of you knows the game SimCity. Oh yeah, you all know it. Yeah, I loved it too. You remember how you managed. You started a city and then you had to manage the city. Another game that I loved even more, probably most of you don't know it, that's why I didn't name it first, Football Manager. In Football Manager, you do know it, you had to manage and coach a team to win. And I was crazy addicted to this game. It was amazing. And I racked up hundreds of hours in this game. Unfortunately, my skill as a manager wasn't good enough to become a professional coach, so I became the next best thing. And I was a teacher. Although I don't really like to call myself teacher, but more a coach. And today I want to share a lesson with you, a really powerful one in my opinion, that I learned from one of my students recently. And it all started, well, it was like 3 months ago or so. And I came to her office, and it started in her office. We had our first lesson and she told me, well, I have to present I have this presentation down the line in 2 months and I'm really nervous. I don't know English well enough. Can you please help me? I said, yeah, sure, I'll help you. But I saw the problem was actually first her English. So I didn't really focus on the presentation. It all started out really innocuously. I would come there, she would write me, I will waiting for you at 10th floor. Let's discuss about this and that topic, yeah? I am really exciting about our work today. Standard, you know, Russian English, just the usual. Until one day I actually asked her, so what about this presentation of yours? And she told me, well, you have to know, there's this presentation that I have to give about our competition. I said, what competition? She told me, we are taking part in a competition. We built an entire sales force all across Siberia. She was working for a bank. And we entered a competition for like the greatest transformation of the year or something. And it's in Amsterdam. And I have to present there. And it was 1 month before a presentation. And then this really like hit the right tone with me. It struck the right notes. I noticed competition. Wait a minute, that's like football manager. I can coach someone to the win here. And the fire really started burning in me. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Competition. So what about this competition? Tell me more about it. She told me everything. And I knew the stakes were actually really high. This was not just something. I knew if I didn't coach her well enough, first of all, she wouldn't continue studying English, means no more money for me. Second, it means that my methods that I'm employing are not good. So essentially, I'm the emperor in new clothes. I'm going to be there standing naked in front of her. She's going to ask me, so what have we done all this time? And third, my career choice, the entire vision that I have for myself, it would just come all crashing down. So we went to work. First thing that we had to do, I had to understand what she actually did. And we went through days and days of practice. She told me the entire thing, how they went to Siberia, opened up these branches, those branches, did a lot of work. We spent, I think, 2 weeks, only her telling me her presentation. And I knew immediately, this is where I can employ what I learned at Toastmasters. I told her, it has to be a hero's journey. You have to tell your story, the challenge that you faced, how you overcame it and came out a winner at the other end. This is what we worked on first. Then we had the second point was the presentation. She had a presentation, but you know all these corporate presentations, loads of numbers, loads of text, very dry, just makes you we'll see. I told her it has to fulfill one purpose. It has to visually support your point. It has to visually support your hero's journey. So there can be no text or very little, mostly pictures, use clean graphs and clean graphics. We worked on the second. And the third point was her English. So how is she going to present? How is someone who speaks English at an intermediate level present and win a competition in English? I knew she had to practice relentlessly all the time, every day. And I have to say, I really have to give props to her. She had a tremendous work rate. She worked very hard. We worked 4 weeks on that, 3 times a week. She worked extra hours at home, and it was really satisfying and even a little bit humbling to see how much she worked. And before I share actually whether she won the competition or not, I want to share what the lesson was that I took away from this. And I really enjoyed several things. First of all, I enjoyed sharing my knowledge, especially the knowledge that I learned here. I enjoyed even more how I could see in real time the impact that it had. I could see how she presented the first time, and then how she presented 2 weeks down the line. And I enjoyed the competition part of it, that we actually had something to win or lose. But most of all, and this was the most surprising, that was actually the lesson that I want to share, is that for me it was really satisfying to see and to experience that when someone else achieves something and meets a goal, that it's as satisfying as when you do it yourself. And that was at least the case for me. So everyone is different, but for me this was as satisfying to see and to experience as if I had taken part in this competition myself. So in the end she didn't win, but she got an extra award. She didn't win because there was a second part to this competition. There was an essay, which I had nothing to do with, so actually she did win. She got told that her presentation was by far the best. They were all very impressed. And there was some kind of extra award that she either already got or is still going to get. I am going to get more money from her because we're going to continue English, so it's excellent. She lives very close to me. It's tremendous. I really like the lessons because I don't have to travel a lot. And also I noticed that even though I don't play Football Manager anymore nowadays because it just takes too much time, the passion for me is really still the same. I really enjoy coaching someone for the win, and that's also why I titled it A Hero's Journey, because the hero doesn't always have to be you. It can also be someone else. Thank you.
And now again, 1 minute for evaluation, please.
Next one is cool table topic session, and the table topic master for today is Elena Manki.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Alina, for offering such an interesting but at the same time challenging topic. Personally, for me, the question why and when it's high time to change a job is rather topical. So I'm lucky to be the table topic master of the day, and I would be happy to learn your opinion on the subject. So I've prepared different questions for you to answer and to practice your spontaneous speech. Everyone is welcome, especially newcomers. The questions are really easy, and you shouldn't be afraid. Okay, I'll remember that. It's not time. I will tell you about some rules. You should remember that unfortunately you have time limits, so you should not exceed 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Our timer will help you with this. And the timer will show you when your time is up. And don't forget about the word of the day. You can use it as often as you can. And also, please call your name before you start speaking so that we can vote for the best table topic master of the day. So let's start. Who wants to be the first? Please choose.
My name is Vladimir Cherkov. How to resign gratefully from the job you hate. Please share some tips. Madam, the table topic master. I'm a kind of person who can persuade himself that the job you do is the best in the world. It's a first nevertheless, when if I be challenged, I will face to resign from my job. I would say to my boss that I fall deeply in love with one woman who lives far away from Moscow, and I have to go there to marry her.
Thank you. So the next, okay.
Thank you, Virginia. Okay, my question is, have you ever experienced gratitude shaming at work when you beat yourself up
about not appreciating what you already have, what piece of advice would you give those who suffer from it? Gratitude shaming, interesting. I've never heard this phrase before, so thank you for sharing that. Well, actually, yes, I definitely had this experience in my at my career. Recently, 2 months ago, I have a very painful experience when I had to leave the place, when I had to leave the company that I actually enjoyed working for. And you know, it was painful because I have enjoyed my job, I have enjoyed my colleagues, but nevertheless I felt that there is not much room for me to grow further, and there is not much of a promotion and possibilities available for me at the current place that I was working for. So I would say that definitely I experienced the gratitude shaming in a sense that everything was great, my colleagues, the job experience, environment, our office, and atmosphere at the office, but at the same time I felt that there is no room for me for improvement, and that's why I left. Thank you.
You're too late.
From your point of view, when is it high time to switch jobs? For my point, switch job when you get boring. For me, it's very, very often I change job. I take a list some year ago. I take all jobs I made, all the places of work. It was about 30 for my life. And some, I think, 10 professions. And now, for me, I found my passion now. And for me, the best is to change your job when you feel like you have no passion for it. You feel you are boring, you have no fire inside. No matter how far you come, no matter how you are there in the job, how much money you can get there in the future, you just go there now and just leave. And for the best, not wasting time, because the time is the best resource of our life. So to get more in the job when you're passionate, when you like to found it, you have to just leave your job now and try to find something else, and don't worry about take your ambitions and try the job that you love, but you're afraid like you're nothing in it. Just try it and feel like it's mine or not. And I think in the future you're gonna be happy. Thanks.
Please, your name.
Alex.
Who wants to be the next one? Newcomer, please.
My name is Tanya. You enjoy your work, you have good working relationship with your colleagues, but you know that your boss got used to your good work and wants to keep you there without promoting you further. What would you do? I'll show this boss that I can do the best work he has ever or she has ever seen, and I'll be persistent and just create maybe a presentation with all my achievements and what I actually did for the company, like support myself with actual facts, maybe the profits that the company got, or maybe something else that the company got, maybe not evaluated in money but in some other things, and show that I'm worth it. And if he doesn't listen, then I'll try something else. Well, I'll just keep trying until he gives up, or she gives up.
Maybe some other newcomers? And who? Okay, you.
Thank you.
And your name is?
Kirill. What makes you feel ill or at ease at work and think over switching jobs? okay, what makes me ill? A job. What makes me uneasy? You mean? So as you can see by my age, by my appearance, I haven't gotten any like real job. Okay, but I'm going to judge from my student experience, from my school, from just maybe little hustles I did on the side. What really makes me uneasy? What makes me ill? I guess it's not like we had this theme at the beginning of the meeting, not being able to really apply the best skills I have at the moment, or maybe not seeing the progress I have right now. For example, maybe I'm a bit young for this. Yeah. So I've been teaching like toddlers English, just the basic level, because I know I can handle this. And I had one student who was a girl, and she was extremely passionate. She wanted to prove her teacher wrong, that she is actually extremely good at learning languages, and she had no problem learning German. She was exceptional for a student who needed to improve a little bit. And there was another a boy. He was in his 2nd grade, and how bad was it? Well, we kind of tested the grounds, saw where he was, and eventually we started learning the alphabet. And he was bad at it. He was extremely bad at it. And we saw no progress for weeks, maybe for like 2 months. And I was so, yeah, I felt really ill. And the thing is, okay, I see it. But on the 3rd month, he actually mastered the basics. He got his first 5 on his like easy test, and that's when I stopped having these destructive thoughts about leaving the student, about giving up. And I think you either quit at the beginning, or you apply your best skills and make it work. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Artyom. Okay, the question is, what factors you should take into consideration while searching a new job? I can think a little bit, yeah. Okay, so I think how it usually happens, yeah, you put your CV on some website and just taking some offers from other works, and if it has good salary, you just choose it, and after that you can realize that there is not your dream job because you don't like it. So I think very important before you're writing your CV, actually, just to thinking what is your passion, as someone said us. So you need to realize and go deep to inside you and find this passion for you. And after that, I think you need to ask other people what they thinking about you, because how you feel yourself, it can be not the same how other people see you. So you need to ask other people's, and the question can be like, how do you think what I can do the best? What my like a powerful skill? How do you think? And if you compare this your opinion about yourself and opinion about yourself other people, so you can find this passion and write your CV just thinking about this passion. And after that, when you will receive some job offers, just choose that this offer that you really need, or you can just find some companies by yourself. So I think this is the best way. Thank you.
Thank you. We have still one.
Okay. Good. Why do you think some career experts say that you should change jobs regularly every few years, even if you don't want to? Never thought about this. I think the answer is simple. They say like this because every person needs some change. And when you get used to some routine, it makes you bored. You don't have any growth, any new impressions, and it even can lead you to depression and suicide sometimes. Some black humor. I never did myself like this expert's advice. I mean, it's stupid just to tell yourself change your job every 5 years. It sounds maybe good in theory, but it's stupid in real life. I mean, you should change when the change is inside you, when you feel that you can't stand it anymore. I mean, going to some certain office and do certain job. Last few words, example from my life. I mentioned at the beginning that I started my career as an audit consultant with a big multinational company, PwC. And after 3 years, I realized that I don't want to do this audit job anymore because it's interesting at the beginning, 30 seconds. But after 3 years of this audit and audit procedures and changing companies where you do your consultancy job, it becomes a routine, despite the travels, despite the new people you meet, and I just felt that I don't want this job anymore, and the pay was low. So I quit and I found another job which was great. The pay was twice more. I had international experience. I had 6 travels to 6 different locations during my 2 years with this company, and it was very right decision.
So thank you for your speeches. You can vote using the QR code on the screen.
Where is clicking?
Yeah, and on your paper sheets. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who needs the papers?
We can continue. And the next part of our meeting is evaluation, and welcome to the stage Sergei Saprykin.
Thank you. So guys,
For those of you who are new here, the big part of the Toastmasters experience is not just being here on stage, but actually improving ourselves. How do we improve? Mostly through feedback by others. So first we have the prepared speeches, then spontaneous speeches, and then the third part of the meeting is evaluation. Because there are specific people in the audience who have been charged with sitting and looking for specific things, evaluating some aspects of our performance or the whole speeches by our prepared speakers. Now I'm going to do the general evaluation of the meeting and then call on my team of evaluators to provide specific evaluations. So first of all, I'll tell a few words about the meeting as a whole. So yes, what I like about this meeting, first of all, the room. Really, it may not be big news for you, but I don't visit your club too often. I still remember the old room. This one is much better. So congratulations on getting a great room. We started almost on time, which is great. By the way, it is good that you start a little bit later than most clubs. For me personally, it's very convenient. When you work until 7, starting a meeting at 7 is not an option. So 7:30, great timing. I love it. I like how we use the word of the day. So it's not here now, but on all of the other slides with the presentations, we had word of the day everywhere. It's probably the first time I see so much commitment to the word of the day. We'll see a bit later if it really resulted in it being used so often. Our grammarian and wordmaster will report on that, but I really loved it. We had the agendas printed out, that is nice. And just now, at least me, I got the table topics voting ballot by WhatsApp, a message. I don't know if that was a personal favor or everyone got that, but if it was for all the members here in the room, that was really great. I love this, this touch. Now, a few things I'd recommend you to consider. When I first approached the room, I saw that this big poster which says Language Club. Are we a language club? We're a Toastmaster club. So I would say that's a bit of a positioning problem. I understand it depends on the library and how they view it, but still, it's a public speaking and leadership club. It's not a language club. So you had a bit of a mess with the evaluation papers, so you didn't distribute them beforehand, you thought we didn't need them, then thought we needed them. I think it's best to just include them with, you know, the package of materials you put everywhere. If people don't use them, you can always recycle them. It's not a big problem. And about, as I said already in the break, I think it's a good idea to actually use short links, not just the QR codes. They can be messy, things can go wrong. You just use links like toastbusters.com/evaluation, something. People know it's always there, they go there and they see the form. You can do it for table topics, for speaker evaluations, for meeting evaluations, just use different short links. It's really simple. And one more thing, now I'm getting picky here. But still, look at this slide. Look at it. Is it great? And you see any things which could have been done better? At least the alignment. Why is it here to the left? But this whole meeting, I was sitting there looking at the slides, and why? And all of the slides. Some text is here, some text is here. It's not center aligned. It looks a bit sloppy. So just be probably more careful. I understand you probably did it in a hurry, in a rush. But again, to look professional, it's best to do this presentation and make it look decent. And since we're talking about formatting things, look here, you have almost no margin here on the agenda. Again, it makes it look a bit weird. It's like it was clipped or cut. Just use a regular margin. Small things like this, they can go a long way towards making or breaking a good impression about the club. And what else? The pads, the thing I asked you about. Most of you come from Optima 4. Know what's good about that club? They give these pads for role takers. So now I wouldn't be standing here with this measly sheet of paper. I would have a nice writing pad if I were in some other Toastmasters clubs. I don't think they cost so much. So please consider that with thought. And one more thing now, the timing. We will run out of time. So we started almost in time, we will run late. And what surprised me here, there are things that could be done with specific presentations, but in the agenda it says that the break is 10 minutes. When we came up to the break, we were already a little bit late, and then the Toastmaster says, we have a 15-minute break. That just didn't make any sense to me. If you're running late, you make a shorter break. You don't make a longer break. So that's also something to consider. You can manage the timing by varying the length of the break. So that way we wouldn't run too late. All right, now another thing, well, most of the things I said, they are also applying to the president of the class, since you're responsible for everything. So I'll make just a short comment on your presentation. I loved how you told people about Toastmasters right from the start, that we are not actually a language club, we're a public speaking club. That was great. One thing, and it's more of an organizational issue than just your presentation, there were people entering the room during the time you were on the stage. I think we should set some ground rules, like you can be late, but you cannot enter while people are speaking. You should have waited until you're done. And this is something we just need to make people understand. Now, the Toastmaster of the meeting. Where are you? Hey, there you are. Yeah. I loved your presence on the stage. You have a warm, charming presence. It's really great. Love that you chose the topic, because it's not always that a Toastmaster gets the topic of the meeting. So you chose one, you chose a relevant topic which really resonates with everyone, and you could see that in the way people engaged with the topic. And you made this little survey talking with the people, although it did take a little bit of time. And again, if you look at the agenda, you didn't have that time. So your interaction, it took more than you were allotted. So what else I would recommend to you? Remember your role takers. Like a few times you looked like you didn't really know who the role takers were. It's a bit uncomfortable for the people when you don't really know their names. So just learn their names like by heart. And another thing, it was great that you did this questioning, that you actually asked all the people something about the theme and you told those things about them, but sometimes it was a bit uncomfortable, where you invited the person to the stage, we all clapped, they were standing here, and you would go on telling some stuff. Maybe it would be better to do this introduction while the person is still there. To, build up the mood and then invite the person, everyone applauds, and they come and, do their thing. Might be better. But otherwise, again, I loved the way you did the topic, you engaged everyone. I think it was a solid Toastmaster performance today. So now we will proceed to the prepared speakers. And I won't be evaluating the prepared speakers myself. We have special people for that, who are called personal evaluators. You see, every one of the speakers today, they had objectives. They didn't just go here and to speak whatever they wanted. They had specific technical objectives. So you have a project, you read what you have to do, and you try to do your best on the stage, and your evaluator then comes and evaluates you against those objectives. So the first project of today will be evaluated by Evgenia Pak. Evgenia, welcome on stage. Give us the evaluation.
Hi Francisco, thank you very much for your speech. Your project is evaluation and feedback, the first speech, and the purpose of this project is to present a speech on any topic. It could be informational speech or any sort of speech. Receive feedback and apply the feedback to your second speech. So I will be giving your evaluation, and my evaluation would be divided into two parts. The first part would be about the things that you have excelled at, and the second part would be just the comments that I thought would help you enhance your presentation. So actually, when I got a proposal from Anna asking me to be your personal evaluator, I was asking, is it an icebreaker? And Anna was like, no, this is a professional Toastmaster. And I think you really proved yourself to be a professional Toastmaster by the way, since you started your presentation, your confidence, your stance, your gestures, your engagement with the audience all showed you proved yourself to be a professional Toastmaster. You also had a good humor, and people, we had a couple of laughs, so it was great. Also, you engaged with the audience by showing the picture, the metaphor of people, a bunch of people jumping from the cliff, and I think that's a great metaphor. And you engaged with everyone here because we all have the same experience when we are here, rush of adrenaline, and we feel like, oh, I'm always jumping from the cliff. A couple of things that I would suggest for you is when you had a transition from talking about British cycling team to moving on to the person who you then explained the experience of that person in Toastmaster. So I was lacking the reasons why you were talking about that person. So I felt that was it the inspiration that you gained from that person, or was that person your relative? So I would suggest you explicitly said in the transition, oh, I was inspired by this person as an example, who, like British cycling team, had a great potential, full of ambitions, persevered, and this is his story. Something like that, so that audience know for sure why the person is over there. And another thing for you to enhance your presentation probably would be about sharing your personal experience. What's your personal experience with pathways and in Toastmaster? How did you learn about Toastmaster, and how did you get here being a professional Toastmaster? Maybe like a conclusion part, but still sharing about your personal experience. And yes, that would be all for me, and good luck with your next presentations.
Thank you. Thank you. That was actually a good evaluation. I'll just point out a couple of things I like, and that those of you who will be doing evaluations in the future, you can also do that. Evgenia pointed out specific things, gave examples of the things she liked and she didn't like. Yes, and also a good thing that you stated the purpose of the speech at the beginning. Again, as I have stressed, we're not just making speeches here, learning something, sharing things. We actually have objectives, and it's good that you brought this matter to the light. All right, now we move to the second speech, and Alla Ganava's speech will be evaluated by our second evaluator, Vadim. Let's give a round of applause to Vadim.
Thank you very much. So, good evening. I'm happy to evaluate the speech of Alla, and actually the purpose of the speech was to present a speech of goodwill on behalf of Toastmaster International. So the call of the assignment, it's a public relations speech. Actually, it's more or less a familiar topic to me, so I will comment more on my thoughts, for your speech. So first, you are very confident on stage, and I liked your voice and how you presented your. It was very confident. The speech was very clear. It was presented with clear language, so I easily, followed you through all this, for all your story. I liked your voice, and with enough, let's say, vocal variety. And I think that all the auditory also was, engaged in how you was presented your speech. Only one thing I would like I would like to mention that you very often put your hands to the back, and it was like, you know, like you're hiding something, maybe.
I don't.
Okay. So that was only one comment about your pose and your style of presenting. So second part about the matter of your speech. So in modern sense, the public relation speech to any subject is, you know, to present some story that was not like a commercial, was not sound like a commercial, but encourage other people to, you know, to join maybe Toastmasters. And your story was all like a story of Toastmasters from the very beginning. And what was the impression for me from this story is that Toastmasters is very old, like, you know, like good old English club. And what I want to hear maybe about the Toastmasters, how not only how old is it and how, you know, respectful is it, but what will be, you know, what will be the reason for me to join? You know, what benefit I will gain if I join? And actually, for me, it was not very clear from this speech. So I offer you maybe next time to think more about the future, not only from the view from the past. But anyhow, I saw that audience acted quite, you know, friendly and actively to your speech. So I think that goal more or less was reached, and I would like to thank you for many, you know, interesting facts about the Toastmaster. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vadim. Now, what Vadim just showed us is a good example of our classic old favorite sandwich technique. And you start with what you like, enumerated a lot of things, then offered some suggestions for improvement, and ended on a high note again. Like, people were happy, so everything was great. It's simple, but it's effective. It makes people feel better after the evaluation. So yeah, please use that. Why not? And now for the final evaluation of the day, let us welcome to the stage our president, Irina Suvorova. Yeah? Round of applause. Stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Sergey, dear Toastmasters and guests, dear Ivan. It was a hard task for me, as I said you before, to evaluate the winner of speech contest in the winter conference. Who I am to evaluate your speech, but it's destiny. So what I like in your style? Firstly, now I'm nervous because of our ground rule not to pass the stage. I like firstly your style and charisma and wonderful jokes and metaphors about football manager. For example, I liked it very much. And you started with the question to the audience, so you started with a little interaction. It is always best decision for beginning of every speech, for my view. Since the very beginning, you used metaphor about SimCity, and it was also very interesting. It was like I came back to my childhood. So it is the positive. It are positive emotions. It's also best decision for any speech, even such serious subjects as coaching. Your body language, your using of the stage. Maybe I would like to recommend to use it more, but it was quite enough for such speech. Eye contact was so strong that as strong as it seemed to me that you looked only at me all the time. And I think it seemed to everyone, for us, the same. It was a very interesting story about your student, about your coaching experience. I was really involved in the whole process, and I imagined very vivid how it was. Actually, your vivid mimic helped us to be involved in your story. And what I recommend you, not to start your speech with the word "so." You remember, yeah? So was not necessary in this case. And add maybe a little bit voice variation when you present dialogue with somebody, with this student in this story. And for emphasizing your main idea, your main thought that you want us to bring home this evening. It was speech about winning, about competition. No matter that your student didn't win, but with your voice you can call us to action for something. Win, guys and girls. Take part in competitions, and the coaching is very interesting. I liked very much to be coached, etc., etc. It is so much opportunities to use your voice. I know that it was a serious theme, but nevertheless, it was space for using voice. And of course, the goal of this project about coaching was definitely implemented. Good luck, Ivan.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, give it to me. Are you going to click it? Yeah, that's the point to me. We should be clicking. All right, we're done with the personal evaluations. Now, a quick take on the table topics. Elena, I loved how you connected it to the theme of the meeting. That was great. You girls working together. Great team. One small thing, but really showing how focused you were. When one of the table topic speakers, he didn't put his used paper here, he gave it to you. I was looking at you saying, you're going to put it in with the other ones and it will create confusion, you know, somebody will take the same paper again, but you didn't. You just put it here on the piano. I really love this small touch, showed how really focused and professional you were on the stage. That was great. Now, my recommendations. First of all, you said that the speakers have 2 minutes 30 seconds. That is not factually correct. You should say from 1 to 2 minutes. 2:30, that's like disqualification in a contest. So you could be more specific about the timing limits and about the signals they see, because they are different. The timer at the beginning only said about, 5, 6:30, 7. Here it would be 1, 1:32. So you could have explained those signals to the participants. And another thing, I don't know if it relates more to you or to the officer team, when we had the voting form, those were just the names there. What some other clubs use, and I find it really useful, after the name you put some small description what that person was talking about. So this way it's easier to remember. When you see just the names, some people can really get confused though. Who is that? What did he or she speak about? When you put a little description after that, just a few words, makes it simpler. But again, great job with the table topics and keeping it in line with the theme of the meeting. Now we are proceeding to the so-called minor roles. The guys who were watching you this whole meeting and will now report as to how well we did on specific aspects such as timing, word usage, and unnecessary words and sounds. And let us start with the grammarian and word master. So let us welcome Anna to the stage with her report.
Thank you. My most favorite part, mispronunciations. So there were a few of them, and I will pronounce the correct variant for you not to learn the bad variant. So income, charisma, imagine, routine, and Alina, if I ask you a question, what should you do? Answer. Right, answer. Then there were a couple of grammar errors, and one of the most common mistakes to Russian people to say, to use the verb agree. So we agree, we don't agree. We shouldn't use be with agree. It's very common to Russian people, I think. So I agree. Also, we tend to mix adjectives with participles. For example, boring and bored. So the film was so boring that I was totally bored. That's for you. Comparatives and superlatives. Alina, you were so nervous that you said best popular. It should be most popular, the most popular. And for Irina, you use this phrase so often. Who needs papers? So paper is uncountable, and you cannot use it with S, but it's better to not to use paper at all. It's better to say forms. Who need the forms? Can I? Thank you. As for the good usage of English, I was so fascinated with the speeches. I'm sure you were very eloquent and used great English, but I remember some phrases that were used by Sergei, and he said some word that I don't know, but I liked it. Maybe you will say what it is. Missing piece of paper.
It's like
because
not good.
I
Nice.
checked on the internet. I couldn't find this word. Measly?
Measly.
Measly. Okay, measly. Measly piece of paper. Also, there were some strong verbs from Zhenya. Enhance. I liked it. And I think that's all for the grammar report. As for the word of the day, there were few ambitious people who used this word. Just 3 of you, Alina, Francisco, and Vladimir. So just once. Let it be 3 winners of the day with the word ambition. That's all.
Right, thank you. Thank you. I could have clicked. Yeah, here you are. That was really nice performance. You know, I felt like I was in a classroom. You know, you had this atmosphere. That was really great. A couple of comments. First of all, it's not very professional to say that you were so excited by the speeches you didn't listen. That was your job to listen. All right, so it's like better not to say that. And a comment about the word of the day. I think maybe part of the reason was in the way you formulated it. Why is what ambitions? Why is it plural? You yourself used it more like an adjective. You say ambitious. So maybe you could say like ambition, ambitions, ambitious, like, you know, several forms, and give some examples, encourage people to use that word. Because I am also surprised why people didn't use it, given the prominence it was given on every screen. But other than that, yeah, great performance. You're a natural grammarian. Now let us hear the report of our A counter. Eugen, welcome on the stage.
Thank you. So first, let me start from telling you about someone who managed not to use any unnecessary words tonight. And this person is Ivan. So, no unnecessary words. Now, let me tell you who were the leaders tonight in terms of overusing those unnecessary words. So, number 1 was Zhenya, and she used at least 13 R and 5 R. Second place goes to Igor, who mainly used are, and he used it at least 16 times. Next one would be Evelina, who used 12 times are and 5 or 6 times air. So regarding other people, Alina used at least 3 times are and 4 times air. Francisca, 2 times unnecessary like, and at least 4 times unnecessary so. Alla, I noticed you saying air, at least 3 times unnecessary. No, Sergey. So what was your biggest theme tonight? You used at least 12 times are and 4 times who would be the next? Alex. Where is Alex? Used 3 times like and 3 times are. Tanya, 2 times Kirill, mainly it were 10 times and are 2 times. And Artyom, 6 times are and 4 times That's all about you using these words, and I think we can do better next time.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Very thorough in your evaluation. Just one thing, what we normally do, we don't go through the whole list. Right. You just call the worst offenders and the best people, and that's it. That would be enough. All right, and now comes the time which we all should be fearing. We will learn how well we did on timing today. Let's welcome Galina with her timer's report on the stage.
So, everybody, I'm sorry for my actions today, because if I can, I will listen to you for years. But, so, the best time goes to Francisco. It's 5:46 for your speech. The second place, like speaker, goes to Ivan. It's 6:54. And Alla, I'm sorry, it's 8:25. So about table topics, the best time showed Evgenia. Maybe not good time showed Igor. It's 3:03. Evgenia, I'm sorry, I did not tell 54 seconds. Vladimir, 59 seconds. Alex, 1 minute 35 seconds. Vanya, 51 seconds. Kirill, 2 minutes 38. Artyom, 1 minute 52. So about personal evaluators, Evgenia, 3 minutes 05 seconds. Vadim, 3 minutes 45 seconds. Irina, I'm sorry, 3 minutes 40 seconds. And grammarian report took 3 minutes 20 seconds. It's for Anna. And I counter Evgeny, 2 minutes 50 seconds. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Probably the same comment as to Evgeny. You don't need to go through the whole list. You just say if the people were overtime or undertime. Now, a second comment. I was going to say that you didn't show people that you didn't explain them the timing for the table topics at the beginning when you introduced your session. Now I see it's probably because you didn't quite understand the system there. Because having time under 1 minute is not good. That means they underperformed. When you finish speaking before the green signal, it means you didn't speak enough. So that was a bit of a mis-evaluation. People should be speaking until they see the green light. Yes, and in general, when introducing the timers function at the beginning, maybe you shouldn't even tie it to the specific times. They can be different. Now we had speeches which are from 5 to 7 minutes, all of them. Sometimes speeches are longer. So you could just say that the green light means the minimum time, the yellow means you should start to wrap up, the red means stop talking now. Tell it in such terms so it would be understandable for table topics speakers as well. All right, this concludes my part of the meeting, and I give the floor back to our wonderful president, Irina.
Thank you, Sergey, for your professional evaluation. Yes, I would like to invite you to join to our evaluation using special forms or QR code. Who needs forms? Yeah.
Table topics. No?
You have this code also on your agendas.
This code should be a little bit bigger.
Yes. And now my closing remarks. Firstly, I would like to congratulate one of the members of our club with her birthday. She recently had her birthday, and this is Evelyn Vankireva. Toastbusters Club congratulates you and wish you good luck in your next projects, in your private life and your professional career and your personal development. Be healthy, of course. Thank you.
Let's take a picture.
Congratulations. And the winner of our table topics today was Куда пошла? The winner of the table topics today, Evgenia. Right time for leaving, Evgenia. Now you can leave. Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us this evening. We will meet in 2 weeks in the same place. And this weekend, this Saturday, we will have special New Year party for all Toastmasters clubs and all guests. You can register here by this link using QR code again, or contact me or Anna Ilina for more details. Yeah, and of course, if you want to sign up for any role, you can contact Anna Ilina or contact me. So, see you in 2 weeks. Thank you very much.